VCs in a Van follows a team of venture capitalists who visit and invest in growing companies. You want to learn about a business? You want to invest in a business? Then you have to visit that business.
GoShare connects drivers who have trucks and vans with people who need help moving or delivering on demand.
Essentially what Jeremy and I have done was take our 40+ years combined behind the bar and took the knowledge and experiences from that, and we decided to design some new bar tools.
Tom Tully, Mark Bowles, and Neil Centuria are seasoned entrepreneurs, and they find out what's for real and what is not.
I hear semantics. I haven't heard the number. I just want numbers to come out of your mouth. How much revenue are you going to do in the next 3 months, 6 months, in a year?
No, this is like, you can't be serious.
I've built a lot of companies. I've always had a plan to make money. It might not have been this year, it might not have been next month, but there's a plan to make money.
No, we can't do that. We can't lose 300 grand.
We've already lost most of it.
You can't lose that. It's hard to find it. If you get, it could be under a bush.
You have to sell this problem, and I love that part of the story because once you become aware, and it's really easy, you're doing it wrong.
Either you have too much burn rate, not enough revenue, not enough margin, or you're a software company.
And VCs in a Van allows the audience at home to participate or invest also. All of this and more on this season of VCs in a Van.
If you want my money, I think you should treat it with a bit more dignity and respect.
Last week on VCs in the Van visited John Cyan, the inventor of the Counter Cave. The Counter Cave is a new, innovative, high-tech kitchen product for storing and aging cheese at optimal conditions. The VCs were impressed with the product and decided to offer an investment, but the two sides had radically different ideas on company valuation. The VCs offered a $100,000 loan with 8% interest, payable in 18 months, in exchange for 20% of the company. Counter Cave's response was to only grant 2% equity for the $100,000 loan. After subsequent discussions, a deal was reached. The VCs would invest $75,000 in equity instead of a loan in exchange for 20% of the company. Stay updated on Counter Cave's progress by visiting vcsinthevan.com. Now let's see where the van is going next.
Good morning, guys, and welcome to the inaugural partners meeting of VCs in the Van. Really excited to get this thing kicked off, and as everyone knows, we are focused on Southern California entrepreneurship and technology and other companies here in San Diego. So I thought it'd be a perfect opportunity for us to learn a little bit about what the Southern California infrastructure is and the companies that can help entrepreneurs and investors down south. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to kick us off to Andy White, who's with Startup San Diego, and he'll give us a little feeling for all the great things that are going on in San Diego and Southern California. Andy, why don't you take it from here?
Great, thanks, Tom. I'm Andy White. I'm on the board for Startup San Diego. We are the hosting organization for San Diego Startup Week, one of the largest startup events in the area. We've used several different tools to help establish what are the key metrics within an ecosystem and how the different organizations and individuals work together. I want to show you a little bit about what we've discovered here in San Diego and Southern California.
Great. Awesome. Andy, what are some of the resources available to San Diego entrepreneurs?
Yeah, having a complete stage ecosystem is very important. In San Diego and Southern California, we have opportunities from the earliest stage of ideas with something like 1 million cups, where an entrepreneur can pitch their idea just as soon as they have it and get community feedback on it, all the way through other resources that can help incubate that idea and get it to the next stage. There's Connect, EvoNexus, Startup San Diego, all helping the entrepreneurs hone in on that idea and really help to define their product market fit and how to grow the company. After that, there's at some point where we all need a little bit of money, and that's where the seed stage comes in. And then once they get to that growth stage, we have a great set of resources from San Diego Venture Group to Tech Coast Angels. There's a Techstars program in town, and then also Fusion X that can help those teams then get connected to either additional venture capital resources or start leading rounds and actually support the teams locally.
Great. So it's a great place to be an entrepreneur here in San Diego, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Andy, that was a great presentation. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'd like now to turn it over to a pitch on Evo Nexus. Kelly, why don't you tell us a little bit about your organization?
Hi, I'm Kelly Cable, and I am the Portfolio Coordinator at Evo Nexus. Evo Nexus is a nonprofit incubator in San Diego and in Irvine, and we incubate companies for a long period of time, up to 2 years. 75% of our companies raise money while in incubation, and 85% of the 186 companies in our portfolio are still alive to date.
I'm Mike Kren with the San Diego Venture Group. Our mission's pretty straightforward. We try and make it easier for good companies to raise money and to make it easier for VCs to find good deals in Southern California. I spend about 75% of my time meeting with entrepreneurs and early stage startup companies. The other 25% of my time is spent meeting with VCs, mostly in Silicon Valley and LA, profiling them, finding out what their investment interests are, what spaces they like, what stage they like to invest, putting that all in a database, and then playing matchmaker and trying to put good companies together with those investors so deals get funded.
Hi, I'm Sylvia Ma, and I am one of 3 of the venture partners of Ad Astra Ventures. Ad Astra Ventures is an accelerator and a venture group that we fund and equip female-led startups. We have our inaugural cohort starting right now, and we will be having 2 cohorts each year of entrepreneurs going through our accelerator.
There's a company called Bare Bones, which is for lack of a better word, it's a new spin on soup. It's broth, it's bone broth, and so it's a new trendy thing that's going on. A lot of millennials and whatnot want to have healthier stuff. They're drinking bone broth for breakfast instead of coffee or tea, as well as having it as a regular stock for soups. So it's a husband and wife team that have a little spin on this concept. So we're going to go see them. Start the fan up. Let's go.
Done.
Okay, guys, we're on our way to bone broth now, and we've got a fantastic expert that is a friend of Neil's. Neil, why don't you tell us a little bit what we got?
One of the basic rules of entrepreneurship is it's what you don't know that you don't know that will kill you. So we're not experts at bone broth, but we have an expert, Mac Manuel Villarreal. Mac is a young guy. He's had a successful juice company. He's got building a soup company. He's an Olympic sailor. He's charming. He's wickedly smart. And he will tell us what we don't know about broth and bones.
Excellent. Let's go to Bare Bones Broth then. What do you say?
Done.
We're off. Kind of get ready for this meeting. What do you think? What do you think about the market? Why don't you start? What do you think about the broth market? The niche that they're in. Something we should be investing in. What do you think?
It's growing. It's a small market. I have to say that because it only came about 3 years ago. But it's an interesting market that has some big potential and growth opportunities.
Is there a chance this is a passing fad?
I don't think so. I think bone broth specifically has been around for ages, and bone broth could be the 2.0 of broth.
So basically, millennials will pay $29 for 3 ounces of bone broth, and an old man like myself, I'm going to use a little bouillon cube and tell my wife it's close enough.
Yeah. There's a nice little piece in this video piece I'd like you guys to watch. It goes through a little bit about their story and how they founded the company and what it's all about. So why don't I pop this up on the big screen and we'll watch that and then we'll talk about it. All right, roll video.
We got started making bone broth with a pot in our house on a stove. We started making it for ourselves, for our friends, for our family. I thought, hey, why don't we, put this in a package and see if we can sell it. So we launched a website.
We both thought it was going to be a little bit easier than it ended up being. When we initially built the first version of the Barebones website, we used an open source e-commerce platform.
Hi everybody, Kate here, and I'm going to tell you why I love bone broth.
I'm Ryan, and I just want to take a second to tell you why I love bone broth so much.
I am a coffee fanatic, but I found a couple of years ago that coffee isn't so good for my stomach.
I love it for its culinary versatility and the fact that it blows tea and coffee out of the water nutritionally.
And I needed something in the morning that was hot to drink that would replace that morning coffee ritual. So I started warming up bone broth and drinking it in the mornings. And what I found was it not only helped my digestive issues, but it also made me feel full and nourished throughout the day.
It's great for post-workout recovery. I swim early in the mornings, and it's great to come home to a hot cup of bone broth.
That the nutrients in bone broth read like the back of a multivitamin label. It's loaded with protein, collagen, amino acids, all of the things that your body needs to build, fuel, and repair itself.
Kind of an inspiring story, wasn't it? With the way Ryan felt about health food, his father dying early, really gave him that passion for the market, and I really love how the husband and wife and team came together to start something, and it's really a cool, inspirational story.
I worry that maybe they don't have enough people.
Yeah, they're wearing a lot of hats, right? And their backgrounds are chef and journalist, so I'm sure anything they're learning from the business side is on the fly, which is great. School of hard knocks, but bring in some other people that have been there, done that. Might,
the rule on the
useful.
School of Hard Knocks, it's expensive.
It's expensive.
Each knock's an expensive knock.
Let's talk a little bit about the financials, just so we can be prepared for it. They did about $800,000 last year. They got a plan for about $1.5 million. What do you think?
You're saying they'll do 1.3 this year with about 25% in retail. Again, a forecast. Let's hear what the rally is against that. So, are they making money?
They're at a net loss.
Okay, we're done. And here's what we know a lot about. We know that revenue has to be greater than expenses. So we're really good at, there's something called margin, and when I'm all done, there's got to be enough for a Christmas party in December. Catherine.
Hi, Neil.
Ryan, bone broth, let's do it.
Great to meet you guys, Catherine and Ryan. Really appreciate taking the time. We love the story. We did see the video in our van on the way, so we know a little bit about what bone broth and the bare bone story is all about. But why don't you give me just a quick 30-second highlight of how you get started and what the company's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So we started as a company 3 years ago. Our goal was to reinvent stock using humanely raised organic produce and animals. So we basically take the bones and scraps of animals, fresh vegetables and herbs, and simmer those for 24 hours to extract all of the flavor and nutrients, and then we package it up. So it's basically a better version of stock.
Fantastic. We spent some time in the van on the way here trying to get up to speed on what you guys are doing, and we do have some questions.
How they see themselves going into the online channel or the retail channel, what's the difference between both of them?
So Barebones, one of the differentiators for us from the beginning has been that our product is perishable. So we began selling online, direct to consumer, shipping a frozen product to those consumers, and that's been really expensive for us. We went to retail last year for the first time ever, and what we heard from retail buyers is that frozen is not a good place in the store for this product because they don't have a lot of room in the freezer, and then consumers have a hard time finding it in the freezer. So we're pivoting to make our product line shelf stable this year, which is going to open a lot of doors for us online and improve our margins and then give us a lot more traction with retail.
Let's talk about the money.
When we come back...
So are you profitable now on the $1 million revenue?
We're not. We've invested heavily in the retail channel, and so we're losing money. We've lost about $350,000 this year.
Hi, I'm Michael Moore.
And I'm Terry Kearns. Thanks for coming by Ramona Ranch today. We're a small boutique winery located in the heart of the Ramona Valley.
That allows us to grow high quality grapes made from our estate vineyards and local vineyards that we have hand selected for the quality and the meticulous nature of the growers.
We focus on using local products, local grapes of course, and we also practice sustainability here at the ranch. We'd love to share our ranch with you, and I think you'll really enjoy the experience, and we look forward to seeing you.
Let's talk about the money. Tell us about the money that you either have, need, could use, going. How do we get, let's do numbers. How did we do last year? What are we going to do this year?
So last year we did just over $1 million. 90% of that was online, direct to consumer. This year we're on track to hit $1 million again. 80% of that is direct to consumer this year as our retail channel grows.
So are you profitable now on the $1 million revenue?
We're not. We've invested heavily in the retail channel, and so we're losing money. We've lost about $350,000 this year.
And your expectation in the following year, switching over, still doing about $1 million, what, still planning on being at a net loss, or what's your thoughts there?
This year we expect to close the year with a net loss of about the same as last year. Next year...
Wait. You're going to lose $300 grand this year?
Yes.
No, we can't do that. We can't lose $300 grand.
We've already lost most of it.
Well, if the van boys arrive, we're gonna stem the bleeding.
That's, yeah, so...
You can't lose that. It's hard to find it. It could be under a bush. It's hard to find. You can't do it.
Right.
And is that net loss really the cost of going to two different channels, do you think? Going both at retail and at online? Or is it just the cost of operating the co-packers? Where's all that loss coming from?
Most of the loss is coming in our operating costs. We've spent a lot of money in marketing efforts that didn't pay off. Neither Ryan or I has the expertise really to execute a super successful digital marketing strategy, which is a little ironic considering we started online. There was a lot of low-hanging fruit. We were able to gain a lot of market share without the expertise for the first 3 years. Now the category is becoming competitive, and that's not going to cut it anymore. So we need marketing expertise to get us to the next level.
What's the margin for $2.5 million? What's your gross margin?
We're looking at more than 50% next year compared to a blended margin of 37%.
So let's pretend it's 40. That means you have $1 million of margin. There are currently 2 employees. We should be profitable, shouldn't we?
Absolutely.
Great. That's what
plan.
we'd like.
So I guess the competitive advantage for Bare Bones is you use ethically raised animals. It's a very nutritious product, and it tastes awesome. Is that pretty much it?
Yep, nailed it, yeah.
Okay, well, I'd like to answer that last one for myself. Can we taste some?
Absolutely.
All right, let's have some.
All right.
All right.
Just what Mama ordered on a hot day.
Well, they say drinking hot beverages actually cools you down.
There you go.
They do that in the Middle East all the time.
You got it down. A little hint of the citrus.
It is really good. This is the
rosemary and lemon chicken bone broth, and it is certified organic. And you're sipping on 13 grams of protein per 8-ounce serving.
Wow.
Compared with a conventional broth, which has no protein.
That's great.
What do you think?
I think it's
Consigliere?
great. So how much money do you need? When do you need it? And what do I get for it?
We need $300,000 within the next 30 to 45 days, and the valuation of the company is up to negotiation at this point.
So to invest, it sounds like you're a early player, maybe the earliest player in a market that's growing really fast. It's kind of a commodity, but you can differentiate. But to invest, we have to believe that you're going to become profitable when you haven't been profitable, and that hinges on the packaging.
Yes, yeah, that hinges on making this transition to shelf stable, and it's a game changer for us, both online and with retail stores.
You know, maybe that we could crowdsource some contacts in the retail business from the show.
The value that we bring here, other than our money and our good looks, is the crowd that we bring. People who are watching the show can bring value. So what would that be? What if we were to throw out in the crowd, say, who out there would like to help invest along with us into Bare Bones? what kind of investor, who would you like to see? What kind of doors could they open?
We're really looking for people who can be influencers for the brand, people who are really involved in athletics or the health and nutrition community or the blogging community, who have a lot of sway over their followers.
Okay, guys, so I don't have any more questions. How about the rest of you?
I'm solid.
Okay, so we're going to go back in our conference room, i.e. our van, and talk about what we heard today and let you know whether we're interested in doing anything. So you'll hear from us back in a few bits. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys. So we heard what Catherine and Ryan had to say. Interesting story, interesting product. What's your first thoughts?
You know, it feels like there's an opportunity. It feels like this is not a passing trend. They have a good product, but I think there's only a couple of levers here. One is better digital marketing or go book some big bricks and mortar deals, and it doesn't feel like they didn't have sharp answers to those questions.
I'm gonna push you a little. I love it. I think you give them 300 grand. You want 60% of the company, and we'll bring some leadership and some dough. They got a gun to their head for 30 or 40 days. They have some interesting investor groups. As an aside, one of the things startup entrepreneurs need is to think about on day one what their financing is going to look like on day 600. And when you plan, you need to think about sort of like a chess game. You got to think about it. So I love it, and I'd give them exactly that deal and see what they say.
So what do you think?
I think it went well.
Yeah,
I just hope that we made it really clear what a game changer shelf stable is going to be and what a huge opportunity there is here.
Yeah, agreed. I really like that they want us to bring in strategic leadership.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a game changer as well.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Interesting. So you guys are all really gung-ho. I'm very worried about that thing called losses. You know, they've lost money to date. They're going to lose money, another 300 grand this year.
That's something they lost.
Yeah.
The current verb is
that was
to
other
lose.
people's money.
See, there's a difference between lost and lose.
Okay, well,
they're not losing our money. They lost somebody else's. They're not going to lose this money.
Well, what she said was the go-forward plan, I asked, she's going to lose 300 grand before she goes to cash flow profitable. That's her current plan. $2.5 million in revenue next year, $1 million in 2017. And from today, that's, if we give them 300 grand and they operate to their plan, they lose 300 grand before they go cash flow positive. That's a problem.
Thank you. My theory is I'm going to give you 300 grand and I'm going to manage it in a way that you don't lose 300 grand. There's something wrong with the numbers. If you do $2 million of top line revenue, she says her margins are 50%. I say they're 40%. 40 times 2 is 8. $800,000 of gross margin. If you can't run this business for $800,000 of gross acceptable, and their salaries are very modest. I mean, these are not people who are taking unreasonable salaries. So there's a lot of money left that somehow is dripping through some of the holes in the pouch. I'm not going to allow it.
So we need to, number one, we'll give you 300 grand for 60% of the company. We will bring in some executive help.
That's a good phrase. Good phrase.
We want to see a plan that's worked out that everyone agrees to.
Correct.
That has only 150K net loss. And we will not increase expense rates until we've seen the shelf-stable product have traction.
Correct.
Is that good?
Done. Let's do it. Go talk to them and see what they say.
Alrighty, let's do it. Okay, Catherine, Ryan, we are here and we haven't driven away, which is good news, which means we have decided to give you an offer. It comes with a few stipulations, however. So we'll give you an offer of 300K as you asked for. We're going to need 60% of the company for that. We need to make sure, based on where we are, that we can control this expense rate loss. So there's a couple of things. We think you need some help with the marketing, the sales, the executive side of it to help with everything you've done. So we do think we need to bring in some executive help, at least part-time, to help you guys grow the business. We're not comfortable with losing 300 grand on a P&L before you get to profitability. There's no sand in that. So we need to come up with a plan with you guys that you're comfortable with, as well as us, that shows the plan to lose no more than 150,000 of that 300 in case something goes wrong along the way. So you have to believe in the plan. And then thirdly is the most important part about this happening is we need to have the shelf-stable product take off on shelves. So we're going to manage the expense rate to a minimum until we see that happening. We have to, whatever we have to do to get this launched and get it on the shelf, and then when we can see that example of that's actually selling, then we'll turn on the jets. So that's our stipulations. What do you think?
It sounds doable. We appreciate you guys bringing an offer and definitely agree with the stipulations. So.
Okay. So with that in place, then we'll shake on a deal, but we're going to have to go and work that plan together and be comfortable with a plan that we both make sense. And if that happens, then we'll write the check. Sound good?
Sounds good. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Right.
Thank you guys. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mac.
Thanks, Mac.
Thank you.
Bone Broth is an interesting story. We liked the company, we liked the founders, we made them an offer. And we thought it was a pretty reasonable and favorable one. They went back to their original investors, and the original investors would not allow them to take the offer, and in fact, pushed on them, in our judgment, a less favorable financing, a debt financing that we thought was onerous, and we were unable to close. So it tells you the story that when you take the original investors in your company, you try to take smart money versus dumb money, and that's always the case. And it also is nice if you have shared goals and shared perspectives, and sometimes when you think you have a deal, you really don't.
VCs in a Van allows qualified individuals to invest in any of the companies featured in the show. To invest, go to vcsinavan.com. You may even be selected to be on the show. Next week on VCs in a Van.
Oh, he's cheating. He's helping her.
Your eyes.
All right, she's